Today we're putting one of the most iconic cars in Gran Turismo 7 to the test, the McLaren P1 GTR 2016. This is a car that every player has wanted to drive at some point, but the real question is, can it hold up in an endurance farm at Sardegna, or is it only good for fun and variety? In this video, we'll answer that question by looking at fuel consumption, stability, handling characteristics, and of course, the total race time across 15 laps of Sardegna WTC 800. Before recording this run, I first tested the car on Fuel Map 1, pushing it with maximum power to see what it could handle. The results were drastic. It couldn't even last 3 laps before running dry, making it completely unviable for farming. Because of that, I went back to the garage and worked through several setup adjustments, searching for the right balance between performance and endurance. After those changes, I found that the car runs best on Fuel Map 6. With this setup, the first pit stop comes between lap 6 and 7, and the second one at lap 11, leaving just enough fuel to cross the line at the end of the race. The McLaren P1 GTR is not an easy car to manage. It's extremely aggressive, with a rear end that tends to step out constantly. Because of this, I kept traction control set at level 3 to keep the car stable and manageable, especially on corner exits. I also ran racing hard tires, changing them only once, which gave me a decent balance between grip and durability over the entire run. What stands out most with the P1 is the driving experience itself. It's not the smoothest or the fastest option for credit farming, but it delivers a unique challenge. Compared to the usual meta cars like the Mazda 787B or the Toyota GR010, the McLaren demands more attention and control. It punishes mistakes if you push too hard, but it also rewards you with a very satisfying and raw driving feel. In the end, the total race time was 27 minutes and 12 seconds. Not the best time we've seen at Sardegna, but still solid enough for anyone who wants to take a break from the meta cars and try something more exciting and different. If you're looking for variety in your credit farming and want to experience the raw power of one of GT7's most iconic cars, the McLaren P1 GTR is worth putting on the track. The tires chosen were racing hards, with only one tire change during the whole run. In the end, the total race time was 27 minutes and 12 seconds. Not the fastest we've seen here at Sardegna, but if you want to step away from the meta cars and enjoy a more challenging and exciting driving style, the P1 GTR is definitely worth trying. That was the McLaren P1 GTR 16 at Sardegna in GT7. Final time, 27 minutes and 12 seconds. Not the fastest car, but definitely a unique experience. If you enjoyed this run, leave a like, subscribe for more setups and endurance tests, and let me know in the comments if you think the P1 GTR is worth farming with. See you in the next race.